director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, let's keep our fingers crossed today. A lot of distance separating us from our guest today. You know him very well. Was last here in Pittsburgh a month ago. Keeps coming back on our radio show. We really do enjoy having him. He is as knowledgeable as one could ever get with respect to natural cures. He suggests, by the way, that the cure is always in the forest. In fact, he spends much of his time in one, and we know that because we have such difficult times trying to reach him. Anyway, today he's in England, and he's to be calling us, and so we'll keep our fingers crossed today that Cass Ingram gives us a call. Around quarter after the hour, we'll listen for that knock on the door. It'll be a double knock, and then we'll let him on in. We've got plenty to do in the meantime, and if we have to uncross our fingers and things don't go well, we'll just move through and open the phones up later on. I think I can trust Cass pretty well. He's usually really always right on the money when it comes to any commitments he's ever made to me before. Anyway, Cass Ingram today. If in the course of our discussion with Dr. Ingram, you want to call in to ask a question or make a comment, you may have some comments, by the way, some leftovers from last month when he was up at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group and spent a wild time and a wild evening. We had reports from many of our listeners on how well that went. Whether it had to do with what he may have said then or what he keeps saying all the time about his cures in the forest, whatever the question may be, it's okay with me or him. The number to do that will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Dr. Cass Ingram today. Now, up and coming on Wednesday, we're going to be bringing Mark Underwood back. Now, Mark is that ingenious little guy who studied the jellyfish, found that there were calcium-binding proteins in that fish. You don't have to necessarily know what that means, other than the fact that there's a correlation between memory loss and the loss of these calcium-binding proteins. So much so the connection was made that a product emerged, one of the very, very few out there, because there just aren't any things that you can take to help with memory loss. Well, this natural substance, this non-prescription stuff, is called Prevagen. We've talked about it many times before. We're going to talk about it again on Wednesday with Mark. And when the topic will be, are you suffering from CRS? I've said it a number of times now. CRS stands for can't remember stuff. Anyway, if you're having trouble remembering stuff, you may want to pay attention to Dr. Underwood on Wednesday when we go down that road again, talking about Prevagen, a unique non-prescription way to take charge of these memory issues, as you'll see. And I've been recently going through a bunch of publications. Every time we turn around, there's some suggestions about how to take care of memory loss, how to protect against it. And nowhere in these lists, and I've got a bunch of them, and I'll probably be sharing them with you, if not today, but for sure on Wednesday, is there actually something to take? It's always something esoteric, like take a walk, go out in the woods, smell the fresh air. These are great. They're wonderful, and I'm sure they may be even helpful, but nothing to take except, as I see it, something called Prevagen. We'll be with Mark on Wednesday to talk about just that very thing. Last week, and we now are in the last week of October, we'll culminate this month with Halloween, I understand it's on Saturday, so and it's going to be cold. Boy, we got 2 good days or 3 good days of some warmth, and then things are going to turn very cold around here on Monday the 1st. Rick Hill's going to be back. He's a gentleman who was given pretty much a death sentence with respect to testicular cancer that he had a number of years ago. Well, he beat that, and he's now talking about how many of you can beat all forms of cancer and disease through cleaning up your environment. He's the one that brought to us the air purification systems, water purification systems. We're going to be talking to Rick Hill on Monday the 1st, and that's about pretty much the way we got the lineup as it stands today. Hope you stick in there with us and pay attention and take the ride with us each and every day. Now, in the news, I'm always searching the blogs. I'm always searching the internet. This one really caught my eye because, I don't know, it just seems like they don't get it. Here's what I mean. I saw a blurb the other day, and it goes something like this. FDA approves, here it comes now, FDA approves Botox for migraine headaches. And as you read into the article, as I did, it turns out, oh yeah, FDA is now allowing the company that makes Botox to put in their literature that it can be used for the treatment of headaches. And in particular, migraine headaches. Underline the word migraine because that's the part that really caught my eye. Not the fact that you could use something, and what Botox really does is it paralyzes musculature. This is why you can get all these facial expressions to be changed, because once these muscles are injected, they just don't contract anymore, and they won't contract until that botulinum toxin, which Botox is short for. It literally is the toxin that comes from the organism botulinum, which is, you've heard of botulism, haven't you? Well, botulinum toxin is the ingredient that provokes all the terrible symptoms. Paralysis is exactly what is caused by it, and that's the cosmetic benefit that's being sought by those who have been getting these Botox injections. And oh my goodness, they got Botox parties, and it's become quite the rage, if you know what I mean. But with respect to this recent blurb, the FDA blurb, which now allows for the company who makes Botox to advertise it can be used for migraine headache, well, that was the last straw, because as I saw it, once I read a little more, I figured that they don't really know what they're really up against in terms of the diagnosis here. They say that to qualify to be able to receive Botox injections, you have to have greater than 15 headaches in a 1-month period. 15 headaches? Hey, that's quite a bit of headaches. And that was the first tip, that something wasn't right, because people who have migraines don't have 15 headaches a month. These kinds of headaches are more than likely, it was my opinion as I read this, not due to a migraine factor at all, but due to a muscular factor. I work with muscles all the time. I'd say headache is the number 2 reason that I treat people. I listened over many years now, and I certainly can detect in the history, just in the history, whether or not something should be considered migraine or not. And so let me share with you what I think is going on here, and let you know how I distinguish between what is a migraine and what isn't. Here we go. First of all, that key of having 15 headaches in a month does not sound like migraines to me. It certainly does sound like people who have headaches nearly every day, which are muscular. Migraines are not muscular. Migraines are vascular, which was the other problem I had with finding out that the FDA approves Botox for the use of treating migraine headaches, which the substance itself only paralyzes the musculature by virtue of the botulinum toxin. Didn't make sense to me. Well, I trudged on. With migraines, which are vascular, the problem can either be and this is a little tricky, but it certainly has borne itself out in my medical practice, that when vasoconstriction can occur, you can have migraines develop because of the lack of blood supply moving through an artery, or the opposite can equally provoke migraines. This is whenever there is vasodilatation and these blood vessels increase in size so much that they provoke a headache. But it is vascular. It is not muscular. So what in the heck is Botox even being considered for? Because Botox paralyzes muscle. Okay, let me share some more with you. Some other hints that move away from vascular, which is migraine, and move toward muscular, which actually I think the FDA is trying to say that you could use this for. I could actually see where if you had a muscular origin of your pain and headache, that if you took Botox, which paralyzes musculature, you know what? I think you'd have a leg up. But I don't think you'd have a leg up at all. I don't think you could benefit at all if the reason you were taking the Botox was that you actually did have a migraine. Because I believe it would be almost completely ineffective, at least on my experience and working with headache patients for a whole bunch of years has led me to that conclusion. The second little key, I think, is another one I'll share with you, because the other key about knowing that a headache is muscular and not migraine is this. Muscular headaches always, about these words of power, always and never, always pay attention to those words, always move from back to front. They never move from front to back. If you talk to a migraine patient, they will tell you that's in fact the case. I have talked to many, and it's one of the keys I use to discern and distinguish between whether a headache is a migraine or whether a headache is a muscular. And a person with migraines will never admit, because it's just not the way it happens for them, that headaches are moving from back to front. And by back to front, that usually means all the way from the back of the head, where the neck is involved. The headache's moving from the neck, through the back of the head, up to the side of the head, up to the top of the head, and literally comes out the eyes. And there are eye symptoms associated with muscular headaches, but they still are not vascular. The other key, I think, and I find it to be about 80% correct, is that in the case of migraine, and I believe this is a key with me if someone tells me they have an aura prior to the initiation of that headache. An aura could be a fragrance, a smell that they have, sort of a flashing set of lights that they experience, which obviously aren't really flashing for anybody else but them, but that's their aura. They get that fragrance, they get that aroma, they get eye symptoms, and then they get that headache. And that, my dear friends, never happens in a muscular headache. So I've already shared with you what I believe to be keys that I've learned over many, many years that I think has allowed me to be able to distinguish between what's a migraine and what is not, based on a history, and only a history, using those little rules that I just gave you a moment ago. So FDA, I think you did it again. I think you've really shown that you don't know what you're doing, because you've just approved FDA a drug called Botox to treat migraine headaches, which you say the rules to follow is if somebody has a headache greater than 15 times a month, which automatically tells me that doesn't seem like migraine at all. And then as we go down through the list, there's other little things to help you out, to be able to focus in on muscular. By the way, muscular treatments and the AR treatments are completely different. We'll talk about those in another time. But guess what I think has happened? You had those fingers crossed? Well, you can uncross them now for a good reason. Our guest, I believe, is with us. He remembered to give us a call today, and he is with us now. I'm sure he is. Let's say good morning and welcome to Dr. Cass Ingram. Cass, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, my friend? I am here. It's, not that long ago that I was actually in in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. You didn't know where you were when you were here, did you? You were up in the middle of nowhere.
I know, but hey, there's a movement afoot in your area of people trying to get as healthy as they can and to reverse some of their major health problems with natural medicine, and it's really cool.
Well, you know, I had a lot of feedback from your visit here, Dr. Ingram. They said, well, here's one that resonated with me, and I certainly understood. That man has boundless energy. He took to the stage, and it was like 11:30 and 12. He was still going strong. That sound like somebody you know, Cass?
Now, you got to take care of yourself. Person's got to, try to do some stretching and get some movement going. Try to get out and walk a little bit. And you got to watch your diet. You really do. You can't eat garbage. And but even if we watch the diet, some of us are too sick. You see, too tired, too beat up for the diet alone to be fast enough. So you got to take your nutritional supplements, but then people don't know what to take. I mean, we've got some time together. Maybe we can guide folks on what they need, you know. And what I did was, well, in myself, I take the stuff. I mean, I take the Purely B. I use the chaga like crazy, the cream, the capsules, the tea, the drops. I use a lot of the royal jelly, or your royal. You have the adrenal power.
Yeah.
And I take my thyroid, I take my pack of supplements, I take my oregano, I take the juice of oregano. I mean, I don't know if maybe it's working, right?
Well, you tend, I'm guessing, not to be too ill too often, and you have to speak of some reason for why that should be.
Well, and this is very important. If you don't get cold and bronchial congestion, and you're not always fighting something, you're going to be stronger. And of course, I smell like an oregano pizza. It obviously works. And it's true, I started at 7. I actually didn't get home till 1:30 because the people who drove me home had an hour's full of questions.
Yeah, well, you were nothing but a big success. You, of course, to come up to Pennsylvania as you did, we're coming out of the forest. And I think you went back into a forest. I don't know how much time you're spending out of one or in one, but the forest has turned to becoming quite alluring to you, has it not?
Well, it is. Now, do you have the book, The Cures in the Forest?
I do.
Because, your tree is a very powerful being. We've been focusing, and rightfully so, on the powers of the wild oregano and rosemary and sage, and the particularly wild oregano, the oil, the juice, the oregamax. Oh, great. And I would suggest that people use all three, but to look for something, in addition, I went to the trees, but not to the Amazon, to the far north above you, in northern Canada, Alaska and such. And I wrote the book, The Cure is in the Forest, because there are some big cures on the trees. Now, the biggest, bar none, is the chaga. I mean, even though the barks of trees and their buds and their needles and leaves are good, and the animals, you'll see them occasionally eating some of these things, chaga is like a pre-digested tree. It's a grotesque blackish-brown thing that grows on birch trees, you see. And it siphons and secures all the medicine from the birch tree, which is really a blessed tree. You know, our Lord gave us that birch tree, and, the buds are edible, the leaves are edible, the seeds are edible, the sap is edible, and the chaga is edible, okay? Now, that chaga, it helps give me that energy for that 4 or 5 hour marathon. If I hate to put it this way, of course there's no caffeine in it, it's not a stimulant, but if I drink the chaga, a cup in the early day, maybe a cup with supper or something, I have a lot more energy the next day, okay? Energy and strength.
Energy.
Yeah, and if I want to go for a walk, I don't get tired. Okay? Or if I wanted to go to the gym, I don't do much with weights, but if I did that, I know I wouldn't be tired if I hit the chaga before. So why not have more energy, and why not be able to wake up earlier in the day and, do what you need to do. That's what chaga will do for you.
Now it grows around the bark of birch trees. Is this symbiotic relationship, in other words, because it in itself is its own organism, right? It is a fungus or a mushroom or something.
Right. Look, if you have a sick birch tree and you inject it with chaga, the birch tree recovers. So there's something, it's like a part of the birch tree as the tree ages. Lightning struck this one birch tree, all right? And we photographed the top because the chaga tried to fill it in, where it was all splintered.
Yeah. To try to heal the tree that was...
like the wind pushed
yeah.
it together, and there was a chaga growing in between. That's like, a medicine. But this chaga also is effective for psoriasis, especially in the raw form, and particularly in the drops. You can buy these chaga drops, which I think you're dispensing.
Yes, we do carry the line, right?
Physicians or Chago Power in the health store. And you take a telfa. Let's say you've got a rotten psoriatic patch. You could try it on like one area. Saturate the telfa with the drops, plop it against that, paper tape it on, and do it every night. And then you take the chaga capsules and the drops also under the tongue, this type of thing. And then we've had some success with this with arthritis. Of course, we know about bromelain and papain. We know that oregano is also good for arthritis. It clears out the fungi and the giardia and the cryptosporidium and the amoebas and all the other inflammatory protozoans. It clears out bad bacteria. But why not add in the chaga in the form of the tea in this case, and the drops also? There was a woman who called me and said, listen, I was taking this stuff, your forest cure, for my low energy, and I got better energy, but I had a side effect, right?
What was it?
Arthritis got better.
What was the side effect to have?
Yeah.
Not bad. Not a bad side effect. My arthritis went away.
And there are other forest cures, and the chaga in the form of the chaga tea, with the birch bark in the form of the drops, maybe the capsules, is my number one. But I love also the larch tree, which is a very powerful tree that can grow in a swamp, and its bark is medicinal. And so when we have people who are exhausted and weak and feeble, and especially if they have feebility in the brain, I also add in this larch bark tea. It's called Lovely Larch, and it's available, I would hope, at the health food stores. You just put a teaspoon of that or two in hot water, and you drink that as a chaga.
So another tree has come into your life, the larch tree. Hadn't heard you talk about it before.
Well, the natives said that if you have somebody that's sick and you don't know what else to do and you can't do anything else, universally, larch bark tea will help them. Now, science has shown that it has a lot of a substance called arabinogalactan. And arabinogalactan is a prebiotic or a feeder of the lactobacilli, but also it has some action on the brain. Furthermore, if you cut 100 different species of trees, the one that burns the hottest when you throw it in the wood stove is the tamarack or larch. So that's why we give it for the brain, because the brain has to burn fairly hot. It consumes a lot of oxygen, a lot of glucose,
okay,
and for it to work. So the natives found that it was good for the brain. Well, we found that too. We've had some people come back to us with senility, with Alzheimer's, saying this seems to be helping whoever they're giving it to. And then finally, one of the things that grows in and around the forest is the rose hip. And so the third favorite tea I have comes from the far north, where they take the wild rose hips, dry them, send them to actually North American herb and spice. They pulverize that, and it's called rosy rich tea, you see. Wonderful stuff. Really wonderful. And when the pulverized tea, so you eat the whole thing, you throw it in the hot water, you drink it all, the particles and all. But I also use this stuff in food. When I'm making a cream soup, I put the chaga tea in there. When I'm making a more of a maybe a floral tasting dessert, or even not even a dessert, even a soup, if it's got vegetables in it, I might throw a teaspoon of rosehip, pulverized rosehip, in there. You know.
Well, you're always experimenting with the lovely things you find in the forest. Tell me, you're over in England right now. What are you doing over there? Inquiring minds want to know.
Not much forest here, although I did go for a walk and I found some wild blackberries. But I'm trying to get my books more well known in England, where they have this huge tradition of natural medicine. And I'm set to give a couple lectures in Ireland, where there's a huge following of my work there. They have tried all kinds of herbs, capsulated herbs, and they didn't get many results. But the Irish health food stores are clamoring for me to come back because they started taking these things, and the people are getting hugely better. And like I did in Pennsylvania, I sit with them, I do some analysis, and so on. But in Ireland, the cholesterol is a famous thing. You have a Cholesterol. It's infamous because it's more effective than anything, even pharmaceuticals.
Never heard of this one before. Talk to us about it.
Well, it was a discovery I made. I found that if you combine a high-grade kelp with the skin of grape, sour grape, and then you add in certain spices to stimulate the metabolism of cholesterol, in this case cumin and others, it dramatically lowers excess cholesterol.
Oh, no,
If
there's
there's a problem, okay? If there's not a problem, you don't need it, okay? But if there's a problem and you can't metabolize your triglycerides and your cholesterols, you see if you need it, a 30 to 40% reduction without any drugs, you see? Or if you need it, it's a 20%. Whatever your body needs, it will do that. And I did this by accident because I gave someone a huge dose of cumin, and they came back to me and their cholesterol had dropped like 50%. So I made this formula, and fortunately, although I'm not connected to it, fortunately I don't make any money on that formula. North American took it, you see, and they made it available as cholesterol. And so I can speak freely of it. And also, it's a weird world, isn't it?
cholesterol, okay?
Think about it. Rosen did 20 studies that he didn't do on Vioxx and this another subject and Celebrex. He didn't even do the studies. The studies were published as if true. It was instrumental in getting the FDA to approve Vioxx. And Vioxx killed 150,000 people. And there's no consequence to him. But me, I can't. I have to make a disclaimer on something God made. But anyway, it works. And the doctors have it called Cholesterol. You'll be getting some for your people. Very effective.
So that's the professional line, Cholesterol. I really have not heard about this. This is a relatively new product that you offer.
Nobody did it. It's very potent on the P450 enzyme system in the liver, activating it to make the bile, secretion go better, and to metabolize and burn up any excess cholesterol, and to block the production of excess cholesterol. You see, it's not like cholestyramine, or even Lopid, or the others. Okay, the statins. The statins steal cholesterol from membranes. That's horrifying, because the membranes are built on wax, and the wax that the body uses is the cholesterol.
Yes, absolutely.
And so when it steals the cholesterol from the brain, from the muscles, the nerves and the muscles degenerate, even the brain. And you'll see these statin takers developing multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's, muscle atrophy, rhabdomyolysis, which is a big word, but it means that the muscles degenerate, and then the toxins stuff into the kidneys, and they have a kidney failure. You know, that's why Baycol was removed from the market, you know, because the 150 people died.
That's right. The proteins just rush to the kidneys and wipe them out.
Yeah, yeah.
In keeping with this theme, because I'd like this cardiovascular thing. You know, you wrote one of your many books, and you got over 20 of them. So you may be over there in England. If you're pushing your books, you may be over there a while, because we got 20 of them to push. Okay, best of luck to you.
Try not to push too hard.
All right, but one of them I think that really deserves some attention, and maybe in keeping with the theme you've developed here with the cholesterol, is the natural cures for high blood pressure. Okay?
Yeah, no, that book is selling like crazy.
Oh, it should.
There's only about 15, 20 copies left right now. It's out to be reprinted.
Give us a little bit of your primer. Give us the primer on, and I just got the book myself, and I've enjoyed it. Maybe you can share with our listeners. This topic is.
Of this is fat. You have to have the fat to feed the heart muscle, which needs an efficient fuel. And if you deny that, and also the arterial wall, they begin to degenerate. And if you eat the starch gets shoved into sticky fat, like cholesterol and triglyceride, which is not good. And the sticky fats, the bad cholesterol, so-called, and sugar, they plug up the arterial system. But when you eat the fatty fuel foods, your blood pressure always goes down, and you cut out the starch and the sugar. It always goes down. Sugar is damaging to the arteries and causes them to age, and it loses the elasticity with high sugar diets. But the fat doesn't do that. So I recommend not only the eggs and the fatty whole food meats, which might shock some people, but also the monounsaturates. I don't recommend the polyunsaturates in this diet. You see, it's the opposite of what the cardiologists, but they don't know anything because they have no study on it. I'm recommending the olive oil, the black seed oil, the sesame oil, the nut seed oils, the nuts also, the cheese, all the things you love, the butter, and always, always, always when they will be brave enough to reject modern medicine and follow old-fashioned knowledge, then they get better. But some people aren't brave enough. They think they're going to die if they eat fat. And they're the ones who end up sick.
They're the sickest.
You have to understand, Guyton's textbook of medicine says that the heart prefers fat for its fuel. It needs an efficient source. Fat has over 2 times the calories of a starch. But, you know, people don't remember that the Inuit had no heart attacks until they ate white bread and Eskimo pies or something. You know, first they lived on fatty foods with 0 cardiovascular disease. The Yemeni Jews ate all kinds of butter and milk and goat cheese and stuff. No heart disease. Then they go to and get westernized. They move in to big cities, and they're dropping dead.
Yeah, and the medical profession has everybody scared to death over fat, and you know, this has led to the whole craze with low fat this, low fat that, no fat, 0 fat, and a whole industry was born that literally is so unhealthy, yet is pursued by many to their ultimate demise, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that's right. And, of course, I eat as much fat as I can. First of all, it's satiety, levels your blood sugar. It resists the pancreas problems, you know, because the pancreas gets into problems with sugar and starch. It resists the syndrome X. And you've got to have fat for the heart. I had Mr. Jacobs, and he was just dying, and they couldn't do surgery on him. They couldn't even do angioplasty. He was pretty much gone. He loved chocolates, right? He's an executive. I trashed all his chocolates, and I put him on full-fat cottage cheese, full-fat cheese, organic beef steak, and salads. He's still alive. That was like 25 years ago. Walks 5 miles a day. Now, the same can happen to you. If you'll just abandon the silly knowledge of those who don't know, which is the modern medicine doesn't know anything about nutrition, take no training, and adopt my diet, which is a fun diet and very nourishing, your blood pressure will improve. Now, if you want to go into supplements, you can take the Clestamin if you need to. But I love the red sour grape. Red Vital is fantastic, and done some clinical trials on that in the past. And you take maybe a heaping teaspoon twice a day or 6 capsules a day or more. You also use the large doses of monounsaturated oils, not just olive oil, but you actually use black seed oil. You drink it. You take 5-6 tablespoons a day. And there was a study done in India where 300 people improved when they switched them from canola oil to sesame oil. But you want something crude and cold pressed, so use that sesame that's out there, and you take 4 to 5 tablespoons of that a day. Case history, you want to get rid of blood pressure quicker? You increase the dose. You take a quarter cup of those oils a day, each. Had a guy who had a high blood pressure of about 190 over 120, came down to about 135 over 90 or 85 or so. And it took only a week. When we made him drink a bunch of this oil. He was in a kind of a hypertensive crisis. Now, some people say, what about the oregano? Oregano oil has been very helpful long-term to eliminate hypertension, but short-term, here's what happens. It really improves the pumping vigor of the heart muscle. It really does. That's why we use the oil of oregano for angina. Okay? So, in the early phases of using oil of oregano, you may see a slight increase in the blood pressure. So if you're brave enough to stick it out and you use a little bit of oil of oregano with your meal, and also something called oregacillin, which you have.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the nanobacteria infect the arterial walls, and so do herpes, so does chlamydia. They even infect the heart. So if you can clear those, you're going to help reduce the pressure on the heart. So you could experiment with a little bit of oil of oregano and some oregacillin. 1 capsule twice a day of that. Yeah. Along with the black seed oil, the sesame oil, the red sour grape in my diet. You have to do it all.
Yeah, I want you to ask about your diet. I'm going to take a little break. Folks, you got Cass Ingram with you. You may have missed him when he was in Pittsburgh last. He's coming to you from England today. We've got him for the remainder of the hour, about 15, 20 minutes left. If you want to ask a question, how about giving us a call at 412-825-6262. We're going to be back in a moment with Dr. Ingram. We're going to ask him about his diet, his body-shaped diet, which he helped coin, and we're going to hear from the master himself. Be right back with Dr. Cass Ingram.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how
You there, Cass?
your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for.
Cass.
If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Here in this Monday morning version of the show, when we're with a very important and famous friend of ours, coming to you a long way from home today, coming to you from the country of England, over there to sell books, you know. But here, bringing to you cures from the forest, natural ways to cure just about everything. And there's no one person that knows more about this than our guest today, Dr. Cass Ingram. Got about 20 minutes left to go on the show. We said if you had a question for Cass, I'll be happy to take it. 412-825-6262. If you want to get in on this, that's 412-825-6262. Dr. Ingram, you're still there with us, are you not?
Yeah, I'm still here and, very, very sort of focused on the importance to do a higher fat diet in hypertension. It's very effective. We just have to have people throw themselves on the gauntlet and give it a shot. And it's a radical change for some people, but it works.
Now, is this in combination with what you have coined as the body shape diet? If they are similar, if they're different, how so? What is the body shape diet?
Well, that's a whole other book. That's the book on what your hormone system defects are. And if you're defective in your thyroid or your adrenals, your pituitary, your ovaries, your testes, your thymus, it's going to show up in your shape. Now, let me just give you an example. In the 1930s, they took males that they castrated, and they sewed ovaries into the males, and they turned into females. I mean, they even had they had functional breasts that produced milk. Their male genitalia tried to convert more towards a female. They developed the shape of a woman. The hormones are really powerful. They're more powerful than vitamins and minerals. So if you're defective, then it will surface in the shape of your body, your torso, your head, your fat distribution, the thickness or thinness of your tissues, your hair, whether it's thick, thin, or medium, the shape of your head, any fat pads, like a fat pad at the base of the head or around the ankle or around the wrist, that's low pituitary. It'll show up in your bones, because your bones are dependent on whether you have sufficient thyroid hormone or sufficient androgens. You and I know those are the sex hormones, but we call them steroids. So it's a definite system. People who were at the lecture knew that I pointed somebody out in the crowd and I said, you have a short index finger compared to your ring on both sides. I've never seen you before. I made him come up in front of the camera, and it was true. Or I'd look at somebody else who was more of an adrenal type, because if you're low in your androgens, then your index finger gets elongated when you're, in utero or in your first 4 or 5 years. I said, Miss, I can see by your fine hair, your fine features, first of all, that you crave chocolate and sugar. And she said, oh my God, how'd you know? But also that your first finger is going to be longer than your ring. And I brought her up, and it was true. So that's a whole other system. Now, that helps with people with high blood pressure or other diseases, because we're going to identify which organs are weak and then fix that. Now, anyway, that's the body shape. There's 3 main shapes. One is a apple shape, which is like an apple cut in half.
All right.
In other words, they're flat on the behind and round on the base of the waist. And then there's pear, and that's real wide at the waist, wide at the hips, and big fat butt with dimples, and kind of small in the head, small in the hands, small in the feet, like twinkle toes, And then there's the carrot shape, which is the butt of the carrot down. They have a little pouch under their belly button. They're narrow in the shoulders and in the face, narrow face, receding chin, crowding of the lower teeth, fine features, blonde, blue-eyed, upturned nose, allergic kind of woman who is sensitive to noise, smell, chemicals, perfumes, loves sugar and salt. Anyway, that's the adrenal type, And then there's combinations of those. but it's all in the book.
Well, you evidently went through quite a bit of it up there. I remember hearing from one of the persons in attendance that you went through a bit of it. I can understand that it all started with the lady with the longer index finger than the ring finger, and you just took it from there. I'm going to have to get this book.
You know, after doing this for 20 years, you see the patterns, and you can tell. Well, the beauty of it is, you get to find out exactly which hormone system is on the kaput, is on the brink, and you fix that. And look, if your thyroid goes out, you know, in women, Broda Barnes showed that they develop strokes and heart attacks and congestive heart failure. And then when he fixed the weak thyroid, he saved those lives. They no longer died prematurely. It's very serious. When the adrenals are out, the DHEA goes down, and they develop cancer and asthma and bronchitis and the immune system and chronic fatigue, and you got to pump the adrenals back up. The slightest stress could knock that person onto the ground, you know. So you try to put this up early, and go about preventing these disasters.
Body shape diet.
They've had heart attacks because their thyroid and their adrenals have gone south, or their testosterone. And you'll see these testosterone types who have this round beach ball abdomen, receding hairline, hairy chest, and they want to be a man, but they can't even be a man anymore. So one guy said, "You got low testosterone." He said, "I went to my doctor and he measured my testosterone. It was low." Well, I didn't measure it. I just looked at him.
Fascinating. Got to get that book, folks. You want to get it too. The Body Shape Diet. Looks like.
Do that, you know.
Yeah.
Ask them. And and of course Sylvia Parenza has a stock of those books.
Yeah, she gave me a full list of them. I have the entire list. Quite impressive. We got somebody knocking on the door to get at you, Cass. You mind taking a question?
No, that's all right.
Come on ahead. You were Dr. Cass Ingram. Go right ahead. What's your question?
Good morning, doctors. How are you?
Very good.
I feel great.
Good. This is a little off topic, but I've been waiting for Dr. Ingram so that I can ask this question. I'm treating my daughter. She's autistic. She's 6 years old. She weighs about 50 pounds. I'm working on treating her intestinal yeast. My question is, the liquid oil of oregano, which is the one that you recommend, can you give me an idea on dosage, frequency, and how long I can keep her on this?
Okay, you can keep her on that indefinitely until you get her improved. Are you giving 2 or 3 drops a day?
I've been giving, I was giving 3 drops 3 times a day, but she seems to, she doesn't communicate really well to be able to tell me always what's bothering her, but a lot of grabbing at her stomach, so I didn't know if it could possibly be causing cramping or if that might be part of the die-off process. So I backed down to 2 drops 3 times a day, and I didn't get so much of that. But it's difficult.
Well, that's fine. The fungus burrows deep into the membrane, so you do want that 3 times a day dosing, and with time, 2 drops 3 times a day will still continue to pound away, and that's good. You can take the health back, that wonderful powdered healthy bacteria that you just mix in warm water at night, and give her a full teaspoon of that.
Okay, what is that called again?
Health back, BAC. Don't forget that the oregamax, the whole crude herb, is another wonderful way to get the oregano into your child.
Okay, yeah, I mix it in with other supplements that I give her. So I don't
want to get at least 4 of those in a day, you know?
Excuse me?
And let's push hard for some royal jelly paste. There's a product called royal oil, or Dr. Courtney might know it as royal strength. And if we could get a good half teaspoon of that in a day, that will help the developmental part of it.
Yeah, I know that this yeast is the root of her issues. I just know it is, but I'm telling you what, it is a real job trying to get to it.
Yeah, it is. Now, Kay, have you tried scrubbing the feet and the shins with the super strength oregano oil?
No, I haven't. I didn't realize that was something that I should try.
It's long-term going to get into the lymph, then the lymph will carry it to the bowel and everything else, and it's effective.
Okay,
It will speed
the
things
shins,
up, you know. So
shins and the
let's
feet,
try those things and see how we get along. For now, it's simple: the royal oil, the health back, and what you're giving right now.
Okay.
Maybe some purely B, maybe even some chaga tea at some point, which is easy to mix in things.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Absolutely. She was waiting for you, Cass, and I could see that you focus in on the gut issues when it comes to behavioral disorders and autism in particular. Any reason?
We know that the problem is that they have vaccine virus in the Peyer's patches in the small intestine.
In the small intestines.
And that's been proven by Wakefield, which they tried to kill him for that.
That's right. He's the one who came up with those.
The oil is going to root that out. But there may be other things we have to do, so she should keep in touch with me. I'm going to give her my email now, which is droregano@aol.com. And we'll craft some other ideas for her young one.
Wonderful. Glad you're sticking in. We're getting somebody else knocking on the door. Come on, you were Dr. Cass Ingram. Go right ahead.
Good morning, doctor.
Hi.
Doctor, you just didn't mention the one shape. I have sort of a nicer shape. I have the waistline that goes in. You know, I'm sort of like, okay. Is there anything wrong with people like that?
No, so your waistline is nice and slender then?
Yeah, I seem to be well proportioned. I don't know what that's called.
You're well proportioned?
They say.
I'm sorry?
That's what they tell me.
Okay, so you're a beautiful curved woman then?
No. The shape is okay. You know, the waistline goes in, so I look, you know, I don't know what that's called.
But do you have a behind or is it flat?
No, I have it behind.
Okay, and do you have any fat pad on the hips, or is there any curvature there, or is it kind of flat? Which way?
They're kind of flat.
Okay. Well, then you'd be more of an adrenal type, but is your hair medium?
No, it's on the thin side.
So it's thin, so then you're for sure an adrenal type. Now, let's ask you about your chin. Is your chin a little bit more towards the receding?
No.
It's prominent?
Yes,
And your lower teeth are crowding or not crowding?
No, not clotting.
Okay, so let's modify it. You are a thyroid adrenal type.
Okay.
All right, so your situation is you're a little low in both departments, and you're going to benefit if you take something to strengthen the thyroid and to strengthen the adrenals. Because you're not a real pear, that's obvious, and you're not an apple with a big blob around the waistline, right?
No.
Okay, so you're probably a thyroid adrenal. Let's look at the fingers, and we can tell now for sure. On your first finger, yeah? Is it just slightly shorter than the ring, slightly shorter? Or is it prominently shorter?
A little bit shorter.
Just a little bit shorter, right? Is that true on both hands?
Yes.
Okay. You are a thyroid adrenal type, okay? You need some Thyroset. You need some adrenal power or oral power. You take those and you'll notice you have more energy and strength every day.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, doctor.
Well,
that's why it's confusing. You're a combination type.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
fascinating to see you work through it, Doctor. Without having that person to look at, I think you did a heck of a job. Unbelievable.
Well, it's, she was a tough one. Usually, it's a little easier, but you notice her voice was slightly coarse, a little slower. So I suspect
Thyroid.
it was a thyroid component, not just adrenal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hear someone that's really, weaky, feeble type thing, and low energy, and they they can barely get the energy through the phone line, then you know they usually have a big adrenal component. But if you hear somebody the opposite, kind of a coarse voice or slow, then you know they really are a thyroid type.
Very good. You read about it in the books. I've seen it for years, but to watch you work through it, let me just say my hat's off to you, doctor. Excellent job. We're coming up to the gun lap here. When you coming home? How long are you going to be with the Irish and the Brits?
I'll give a big lecture at the Metro Convention Center, November the 28th. I'll be giving 2 keynote lectures there. I'll be bombarded with humans at the Metro Convention Center there, and then I'll be around, after that, in December, hopefully.
Coming back in December.
Yeah.
All right. We got bongers in the background. Dr. Cass Ingram, always a pleasure to have you as a guest with us. Pittsburgh's got a fond spot in its heart for you. It looks like you have one for it, too. We'll wait till you get back. We'll do this again, Doc. What do you think?
Well, food store, there's Springdale or whatever or something, and the DeWalt people, and then, of course, Sylvia Provenza has books.
All the books. She's got the entire list.
In my absence, just take action, get your yellow underliner, and start studying the stuff,
All right, Doc. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right. There you have it. Really a pleasure. What a joy. How about that way he worked through that with that adrenal thyroid? All right, folks. You have a great day now. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll be back with you on Wednesday with Mark Underwood talking about Prevagen. And can you remember stuff or not? We'll see you then. This is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Dr. Cass Ingram saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.
Located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.